Welcome, everyone, to ITD Gaming Appetizers. On this episode, you're going to need your screwdrivers because we're going to talk about storage and PlayStation 5. And then we're going to throw in some Microsoft stuff in there just because why the hell not? You know, we're going to talk about it all. This episode, we're kind of talking about the PlayStation Storage because they just made an announcement that they're about to roll it out to all their beta clients, to some of their beta clients. So not everybody's going to get it soon, but you know, they're starting to let more and more people know about it. And if you don't know how to use a screwdriver, you're pretty much SOL on this one, guys, because if you don't know how to purchase or buy hardware, this is going to hurt a lot of people because I feel that some manufacturers and companies are going to start taking advantage of people with this, especially people that have no concept of computer style hardware or anything like that, because you're going to have to go buy an NVMe solid state drive if you want to upgrade your PlayStation's hardware. And you're going to have to tell the difference between the different gen styles, the different sockets and the M2s and all this other stuff that you probably don't know anything about. So it's kind of an interesting, way that Sony went versus the way Microsoft went. So let's just kind of jump into it. And Shane, what do you think about this? You're probably the least tech, but still you know how to use a screwdriver in our group. So what do you think about this? If you want to put more storage into your PlayStation, all these different form factors and information you're going to need to know before you can buy some additional storage.
I hate it. Thank you. No, I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is primarily because of the ease that Microsoft made it. Just drop a card in. I mean, basically that's what you're doing. I don't like the price for Microsoft, but the way it's set up, it was a common sense solution for gamers. Now, granted, there's a lot of tech people out there. You too could do that shit blindfolded, butt naked, with pissing in the wind. I would have to YouTube the shit out of it. I would have to call you guys. I would have to call an ambulance eventually because I forgot to unplug it. It's so many things that you could screw up. And I think Sony, I'm not a Sony as a company fan. I'm not. Everybody knows that. And I'm not ashamed of it because their reality is what they show, and they're a crap company. I think they did this on purpose because what happens if you break your shit? You got to buy new shit. And then Sony can just tack that on as another sale. And that's bullcrap. I think with the technology where it's at, I don't think there was any reason Sony couldn't have done this in a better form. But I'm not a tech person. That is just me as a gamer, me just looking at the world around. That's just my opinion. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like, some of us that are technical could put these in with no problem and find the certain ones. They do have certain specifications. There are requirements for what type of drive that you're purchasing for this. Certain NVMEs do require heat sinks, and they do have requirements for those as well. So, Joe Blow out there may have trouble putting these in there. And that's where you're going to run into places like, Best Buy and the Geek Squad that they're going to charge you to put in that drive, right? And they're more than likely going to say the cheapest, crappiest NVMe drive to stick in there and charge you for that service to put it in. There's good and bad, right? With Xbox and their expansion proprietary. Yes, thank you. Their proprietary expansions cards, you know what you're getting, right? It has the Xbox brand, has the Xbox logo on it. This is made for Xbox Series X. Great. I just take it out, I pop it in, I'm done. With these, you're going to I'm sure companies are going to put like compatible with PlayStation 5 on the box, just so they could sell them. But you're going to have an assortment and variations of these drives with certain speeds and certain storage compatibilities, and needing a heat sink or not needing a heat sink, and various things of that nature. And, you're going to have those companies that are going to screw people over with these really low speeds. It's just enough to just enough to make sure that it can run on the PlayStation, but it's horrible, right? Whereas Xbox, in their defense, they are expensive, but granted, they are making that proprietary that hardware to where it does meet the specifications. So when you buy it, it is for it. Whereas the PlayStation 5's storage expansion options do give you a lot more options. Yes, granted. But there could be, and there can be so many variations on the market that's going to be really hard for the average person to narrow down the best drive for their system. Because they could be looking at a $200 NVMe drive and go, I don't want to do that. I want to do that $50 one. Well, that $50 one just does the bare basics, right? And so its transfer speeds and various things like that suck, right? Right? And it's a bad drive. So I could see where if you're not technical and you're not in the know and you don't do your research, where this could really bite you as a customer you have to take the covers off and you have to unscrew a part and you have to dig into the system. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. Even if it just requires a screwdriver, they are uncomfortable with removing parts from their devices to get to certain areas. Not everybody, but there are a certain group of people that are uncomfortable with doing stuff like that. So that's where those companies are going to come in and start gouging them, like Geek Squad and various other companies around there. They're going to say, hey, we can put a drive in for you. Come by us and we'll charge you this amount of money, after you've already bought the drive, which is already expensive on its own. And we're going to charge you an extra $60 or whatever to stick this drive in here for you. So yeah, it's really, it's a double-edged sword really for him, I think. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I agree with you because you're going to start having Geek Squad and these little mom and pop shops or little local shops opening up, say, we'll sell you an NVMe and we'll install it for $50, or whatever. And it's super simple. I mean, if you've never installed an NVMe before, it can be a little daunting because it just doesn't feel right. You got this really slender, I mean, I'm talking like paper thin storage array that kind of goes in at an angle and kind of snaps down. And sometimes I feel like you break the darn thing. You're like, it doesn't go in right. So, everything is keyed to keep you from plugging things in the wrong way, but still, it could still break things. They're very delicate. They're not built like the standard platter hard drives we had before. NVMEs are very delicate. If you put it in wrong, if you shove it in, bend a pin, or you put it in wrong, you're going to break it. And everybody complains about how expensive the Microsoft 1 terabyte is, but anybody out there that has looked at a 1 terabyte NVMe in the NVMe 4x4 space or the space that PlayStation is asking for, you're looking at $200. That's what you're going to get for a decent one. But what I think is going to happen is a lot of these people are going to start coming out with built for PlayStation 5 NVMEs, and they're going to be standard NVMEs that you can get anywhere for $300. They're going to say this one's built for PlayStation. And so because it's got that PlayStation name on it, guess what? It's now worth a premium, and that's what I'm sure is going to happen. PlayStation has listed all the specs and specifications if you want to buy one, but it's not available for everybody yet. So there's no reason to go out and just jump on buying it. But they have specs. They have maximum widths they can handle. They have maximum lengths they can handle. So you can't just go out and look for any PCIe Gen 4 by 4 M2 NVMe in your set. You need to know what you're looking for. I think PlayStation needs to go out before it gets too bad and say, here's our list of certified NVMe chips. So they're going to go out to like Seagate and Western Digital and all these other places, and they're going to say, here's your ultra premium level, here's your premium, here's your mid-range, and here's your low end. These are our recommended from each one, or PlayStation certified. That's the only way they're going to get away from this. But then again, you're going to have somebody take the case off and pull out one of these, because you have to install an NVMe with a screwdriver, because there's a screw that holds the NVMe down. Because like I said, it goes in at an angle and then it's got a little bit of tension on it when you put it down. So, you're kind of have to do something what PlayStation is going to, because as Shane even pointed out, it's so simple to think. It's so easy just to not think about it and be like, oh, I got to pull the case off and put this in. You don't want the plugged in, because even plugged in, it has standby power. And if you push that, you could damage your circuit board by plugging that thing with standby power on, just not unplugging it, because that's not what we consider common knowledge from building computers and stuff. Isn't common knowledge to everybody. It's, they don't open this stuff up and they're not installing this. And those NVMEs aren't hot swappable, they're not any of that stuff. So there's going to be some damage out there because of this, I think, with people putting together these how-to guides. I mean, how many times have you been on the internet and people are telling people how to do something? They're like, oh, you just go in and delete your C drive, or something stupid. There's going to be tons of that out there. And PlayStation is kind of opened it up by making it not idiot proof. I mean, because before on a PlayStation 4 and below and an Xbox One and below, you wanted an external drive. You went and you bought a self-contained external drive and you plugged a cable from one machine to the other. So you didn't have to open it up. And now you have to open it up the PlayStation. So, but I think the PlayStation does support larger capacity NVMEs than Xbox does, but they do 4 terabyte. But hell, I can't afford 4 terabytes. It was enough for me just to buy a single terabyte NVMe when I built my last machine. And I bought not ultra premium, but I bought a premium one for 1 terabyte. So NVMEs aren't cheap, and there's so many specifications that you have to pay attention to. There's length, there's width, there's height with and without, as Nick had pointed out, with and without heat spreaders and all this other stuff. And so PlayStation has exact specifications. In my opinion, they need to put out exact vendors they've worked with and that they've certified their product on. So that's where I'm at on that.
One thing I don't think nobody's brought up yet is product warranty. You're voiding your warranty when you open that.
Nope.
Not for those. No.
Not for the PlayStation, because they allow you to change out covers and take covers off to do things. So that's part of their business model.
But you're getting into the system.
Taking off the covers does allow you to access the system once you take off the covers.
Yeah, and PlayStation did say, like, I think there is a certain point that will, but trading out these storage parts was a part of the system's usage.
Selling
so
point.
It's not if you do that, it's not avoiding your warranty.
No,
now, if you were to take it completely apart, you'll probably get to a part where there is, right?
Yeah.
But this is not a part of that, because it's right on the outside. You take the cover off and there's like the thing there to put
I haven't taken mine off because it scares the crap out of me. It's too heavy.
Yeah, if you open it up, you can see all the black like plastic on. I believe it's on the bottom is where this one is, and you'll see like a pop out panel that's got a screw that holds it down. You basically take kind of like you did in the memory in the old laptop, where you flip the laptop over and there's a screw door. You take the screw out, the door opens up, and that's where your NVMe goes into. And then you can put the NVMe in, you screw it down, and then you put the trap door back on, you put the case on. So you're not exposing the main board. Yeah, but kind of like an old laptop. If you ever change like SODIMMs in a laptop, it's kind of the same concept. You're
not tearing it apart to get there.
Right.
No, okay.
Exactly.
Well, that's good, but I still don't trust Sony to honor that. I really don't. They'll say, "Oh, well, you shook it when you did it," or some crap.
Well, I mean, the problem that you run into, the problem you run into, Shane, with that is not necessarily taking it apart, but like Patrick was saying, you put the card in wrong, or you push it down too hard, or you have it still connected to power when you put it in, or something like that, or maybe you get one that maybe this SD maybe this card requires a heat spreader or a heat sink on there, and you don't put it on, or or whatever the case may be, and then you fry the system or fry the connection, right? Because you didn't put the heat spreader on, and so there could be cases like that. That could definitely happen. I don't know if the heat spreaders or the heat sinks that come with those, I don't know if they come pre-attached or do they come separate that you have to attach them. Do you know?
You can buy them both ways. You can buy them with and without heat spreaders on those NVMEs.
So you could buy some cards that require a heat spreader, but you had to buy it separately. And maybe you don't know that. And then so you stick it in there, and then all of a sudden it burns up your PlayStation, and you're like, oh, what happened?
Well, because when you consider NVMEs currently now, where they go in, they're made for PCs, and when you look at a PC, they're going in slots between your PCIe slots on your main board usually. So they're in an air channel, if you will. But some of the main boards that I see actually bury them in a channel under a cover, so you can't see them. So then you have to know, okay, I need a heat spreader, and that's what the PlayStation is. The PlayStation has buried theirs without a fan. which looks like there's no fan outlet. So that's what the heat spreaders are for, to dissipate. I mean, they don't generate a lot of heat, but they generate enough that if you don't put a heat spreader on it to dissipate some of that heat, it will burn itself out, shorten its lifespan. Because the thing you have to learn about solid states is eventually there's only, you're still at that limitation of a certain number of writes before the drive starts to fail, which is lower than your old spin disks, because it's just the nature of a non-moving part. You wear out the embedded transistor and all that stuff. So there's a number of maximum writes on these things, and they've gotten better over the years. Especially we've moved away from the square style solid states into these more NVMe styles, because they act more like memory, but they're not volatile memory, so they're more static memory. So there's just so many things. And as Nick said, you can break these super easy. Like I said, when you put it in NVMe, it doesn't just go into the slot. It actually goes in at an angle in the slot and then like latches down. So it's a weird thing if you've never done one before and you're just trying to do it from a guide. Because if you go to PlayStation's website, here's what they say to put in the solid state. Hold the edge of your M2, align it with the notch on the expansion connector, and then starting diagonally upward firmly. Starting from diagonally upward firmly, insert it all the way. What the hell does that mean? Starting diagonally upward, firmly insert it all the way.
It means get another PlayStation. You just broke your shit.
Right. And it basically warns you underneath it. If you proceed to the next step while your MS is incorrectly inserted or not firmly inserted all the way, it may cause damage to the internal of your PlayStation.
Yeah, but see, Sony don't care. That's just another sell for them. It really is.
It's going to be like laptops. People who didn't know how to put in memory in laptops have to take it to Best Buy or Geek Squad or whoever this your local computer repair shop and say, "Can you install this for me?" And they're going to charge you their minimum rates.
What is the average price right now? I don't even bother looking it up. You guys are smart.
You're about
$200
$200
right now for a 1 terabyte.
About $200.
Okay. So the Seagate from Microsoft, you can get, I just looked at, yeah. So if you think about what you're paying Best Buy or whoever to install this, I mean, you're paying, you think you could get away with $50 for an install?
It depends on the shop. Like a lot of shops have minimums. Like every computer shop I've ever worked at before was like $75 or $120 minimum. Yeah. So if they charge minimums, they say, all right, well, because they may offer it as a bundle. They say, hey, we have to charge you $75. We have to charge you $120. We'll blow it out and put the NVMe in for you to make it worth your while. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Or they're just gonna have a special. If you buy it from us, we'll install it for $25 or for free or something.
Yeah, I can see something like Best Buy doing that. Like install it. We'll buy this particular one and we'll install it, for an extra $20 or something. I mean, again, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? I don't like proprietary software or hardware. But I think in this case, Microsoft kind of went the more safer route for sure with just having these expansion cards. Whereas, Sony has gone to the more kind of like buy whichever one you want. Well, I mean, in regards to our specifications, which gives you more variety and options, but it also gives you a lot more potential failure and issues down the line.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of problems.
It does. It opens up a can of worms, right? That proprietary software, that card is going to just stick in there and it's created to slide in and one and done. Plug and play, right? That's all we love. Plug and play. Put it in and it works. Not have to deal with it. For most people, So not every PlayStation owner and not every Xbox owner or anything like that is a computer whiz. They don't know how to put these certain parts in there. For PlayStation, for Xbox, it's pretty easy. There's a slot that says put an expansion card in here, right?
Put here, and it's keyed, so you can't put it in wrong unless you use a hammer.
Right. Exactly. If it doesn't fit, turn it around like a USB, and if it slides in easily, you got it. For these might be a little difficult. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when these start coming to full blown everybody. It is a good thing for PlayStation to be going through a beta process with it, to see how everyone reacts to this and things like that. Hopefully they're giving this a beta access to just the regular Joes, not the Linus Tech Tips and all those people, because they know how to do this stuff. But just so the mom and pops and the regular people out there, being able to do this beta test to see how that goes. And then from there, Sony can say, okay, maybe we need to restructure certain things or provide more information, or like Patrick said, make a list of here's the ones we recommend, or these are PlayStation 5, specific drives and stuff like that, sort of certified drives. And so hopefully that will come out of this beta test.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think you're hurting your average consumer, but at the same point, unless you get games that are close to a terabyte in size or 800 gigs or whatever they got, which
they're working.
They're working there. Call of Duty's getting there, so eventually they're going to get there. But you can just uninstall and reinstall games. So it's not like it's the end of the world. But if you don't like to do that as often, and you want to triple your storage by adding 2 terabyte, or if you can afford 4 terabytes. Now, the limitation of Microsoft currently is you could do 1 or 2 terabytes. That's it. So you're either doubling or tripling your initial storage.
Is the 2 terabyte? Sorry, is a 2 terabyte? Is that including the additional the terabyte that's already installed, or you get a 2 terabyte?
You can buy a 2 terabyte one. I don't think the 2 terabyte one's widely available yet from Xbox. I know they put out the 1 terabyte, but they have mentioned that there's going to be a 2 terabyte stick.
I think Microsoft has also put out that they're working with currently other besides Seagate, other developers like Western Digital and stuff to make these expansion cards for the Xbox. So with that competition out there, you could see a potential drop in price for these cards from Seagate and Western Digital and whoever else makes them.
Well, and storage always goes down. I mean, as time goes over, new technology, NVMe is still fairly new. I mean, it's not brand spanking new, but it's still fairly new. I mean, I remember back when it used to get like a 1 terabyte spin drive, it used to be like $500, and now you can get a 1 terabyte spin drive for cheap. I think I paid $50-$60 for the one.
You can get it out of the quarter machine at the supermarket.
Right, And so, and when I talk about like the PlayStation, the 1 terabyte drives that are would be good for PlayStation and $200, that's not like cheap brand. That's not ultra premium brand. That's like a brand that works really good, like Western Digital Black Series or the Samsung Evo series, the 980s or something like that. $200 is a decent price. So that's what you're going to pay for a terabyte of storage. So I don't think Microsoft's out of line with the cost of where there's that, but PlayStation has not been able to make it user friendly, and that's where it might hurt them on that. But they don't honestly care because they're not making any money. They're not selling NVMEs themselves, so they're not making money. I don't know if Microsoft makes any money on the Seagate ones. Probably not. They just probably partnered with Seagate to give Seagate the opportunity to make some money, but maybe they are. Who knows? Maybe they're getting a $15 kickback. That's what extra $15 is. But it is what it is. PlayStation's users are just going to have to pull out the screwdriver or take it to somebody else and pay them to do it, or have a friend that'll come over and be like, yeah, just buy it. We'll come over and pop it in.
That's the only reason I talk to you two.
The only reason?
Yeah.
Well, Nick's got that new TV I'm going to steal.
Cool. So it sounds like you got pros and cons of both ways. You're not locked to proprietary format with PlayStation like you are with Xbox. But Xbox has ease of use, and you're limited to 2 terabytes right now. I think you're limited to 1 until they come out with a 2 terabyte model, or the 2 terabyte model stays in stock, I should say. But with PlayStation, you can go out and find any compatible 1 to 4 terabyte NVMe and put it in there. As long as you know what you're doing, you should be fine. So,
but you don't have to worry about any of that shit because ain't no games.
Right, you're not filling up your drive yet. So, all right. Anybody else got anything else they want to throw out there?
No, I ain't doing it. I'm telling you now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't need it now, but at some point I might want it, and so I might look into getting them. But
I'll just delete.
And the same thing with Xbox, right? I've thought about it too because they have gone on sale, those 1 terabyte expansion cards, and I think a few months ago it went on sale for a pretty good price. It was like $100 and something for a short while. I can't remember what it was on Amazon or something like that, but. If I had the money at that time, I might look into buying one of those, and especially for the PlayStation, especially when like Horizon and God of War and all these big titles come out, and then because the PlayStation does have lower storage than the Xbox, it's like 800 and something gigabytes out of the box. So, there is going to come a time where I might need that extra storage. So, yeah, I might look at it in the future for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, just like Microsoft with their little comment on their Twitter page about anyone need help expanding storage in their Xbox consoles. I think we've thrown enough shade at PlayStation this episode. So, let us know what your thoughts are. Do you own a PlayStation? You're going to be able to do the swap out or add of additional memory yourself, or you're going to have a buddy do it or take it somewhere. Let us know. And then make sure to like and subscribe, and so we can keep doing this. We hope to catch you in the next episode.
See ya.